Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Jelena.
Welcome to our YouTube tutorial.
Which is on what?
It's on Padangusthasana and Padahastasana, the first two postures of Ashtanga's fundamental sequence.
But before we go any further, make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe to our channel, and maybe comment and let us know what else we can do or how much you loved this tutorial even before you get to see it.
I know we're asking for a lot, right? But what are we giving you? Well, we're going to teach you Padangusthasana. Pada means what?
Foot.
Angushta means what? Thumb. Say it.
Thumb.
Oh, okay. She said it right. Sometimes with Jelena's accent, she says thumb, which I like. So foot thumb, which in English we call
Toe.
a toe, big toe, yeah. Big toe pose, yeah. And then padahasta, what's hasta mean?
Hand.
Yeah, foot hand pose, which we translate to hand to foot pose. All right, I know already, so confusing and so informative at the same time.
It's great.
So let's run through the vinyasa sequence for these postures, and then we'll talk about some of the work.
Sure.
All right. So starting in Samastiti, we always start in Samastiti. We just finished Surya Namaskar A and B. Yekam, inhale, feet hip width apart, reach down and catch the big toes. Dwe, exhale, fold. Bend your elbows, and you come into what we call the state of the asana. That's the vinyasa that you hold. And it's nasagara drishti, gaze towards the tip of your nose. 5 breaths here. And then krini, inhale, your head up. Exhale, there's no vinyasa count, so there's no movement. And then we go straight to padahastasana yekam. Inhale, set up by putting your hands under your feet. Dwe, exhale, again, you fold on the exhale, coming into the state of the asana, the vinyasa you hold. Again, nasagara drishti. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Krini, inhale, head up. Exhale here, no count, no movement. And then release on the inhale, come back up to samastiti. That's it. Pretty simple.
It's pretty simple, yeah.
3 vinyasas for each posture. State of the asana is the second vinyasa for all of you that like to count.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously these are forward folds. We did some forward bending in the in the Surya Namaskar and stuff, but now we're kind of going deeper in and holding.
Yeah. So one of the most important things when we forward fold is you want to think about where you're forward folding from.
Okay.
Right? So if it's difficult to forward because there's tightness in the back, in the hamstring, one of the things we always say is just simply bend your knees so that way you protect your spine because you don't want to round your back to catch the toes.
Yeah.
I could do it this way.
Depends how complicated we want to get about this. Actually, we have another tutorial all about forward bending. So I'll put up a thingy. Okay. But let's just say that we want to spread the stretch all along the back of the legs and the spine more evenly. So you can see if Jelena does something like this, then her back is rounding so much. So the way I see it is that there's too much bend happening here. And usually the reason for that, what Jelena was just saying, is if the hamstrings are tight, if they're short, then they're holding the hips down, the sits bones down. And so Jelena is trying to get to the toes by articulating the spine, she's rounding the back. So we want to limit that. We don't want to round the back. We don't want to get better at this, right? You don't want to be sort of in this round back shape after years and years of yoga. So instead of rounding the back, we're going to bend the knees. Bending the knees will let us straighten the spine more. Over time, or if you've already got nice, long, easy hamstrings, then you could keep your legs straight as you fold forward. Now, I say it's a little bit tricky or complicated because we don't want to keep a neutral spine in our forward bends. Like like a slight lumbar curve. You know, I mean, it's impossible anyways to go in a deep forward bend with that, but I would say you don't even want to try to do it. But we explain that in the yoga butt video, and which I'll link to now, and that forward bending video as well. So we're trying, there is a little bit of curving that's happening in the lower back, but it's an intentional curve there, and then we're trying to get that like extension through the upper back, right? Not rounding the upper body.
Yeah. So that curve in the lower back happens because we really try to hold on to our core, and as we pull in, that kind of protects your lower back as you're folding. So you're not trying to let go of the belly and relax it, but as you pull it in, it kind of creates that little bit of a tuck as you go forward.
Yeah, Uddiyana Bandha, which I'm going to make a video about, but I haven't made it yet, so I'm not going to link to it. Okay, then let's talk about the vinyasa for a sec as you go into your forward bend. So bent knees or straight legs, it's all on Yekam. Actually, our teacher, he has kind of a script when he's teaching a lead class for the vinyasa count. So he always says this, feet hip width apart, Yekam, inhale, catch the big toes. So it almost sounds like he's saying, open the feet before you inhale the breath. But I think it's just the way that he's delivering the instructions. Well, where else would that feet hip width apart come?
Yeah.
Would you hold your breath? No, we don't hold the breath. And the exhale before, we just finished coming into samastiti. So I think it must all be on the inhale. Perhaps this is too detailed.
Yeah, I think you're complicating things at this point,
okay.
But okay.
These things keep me up sometimes. Okay, so Yekam, we bring the feet hip width apart, your own hip width, and catch your big toes. Now, notice that when Jelena went forward to catch the big toes, she just went down as far as she needed to catch the toes with the arms straight. She didn't do extra movement by bending the elbows and kind of following her hands with her head, and then coming back to a straight position, right? So I know, well, to me that seems really obvious, but I see a lot of the time people, when they go forward, they kind of come down with a bent elbow, come into this deeper forward bend, and then lift back up. Why? Well, you can if you want, I guess. You'll burn extra calories. But you could just make it a very simple, direct movement by keeping the arms straight. So Yekam, inhale, feet hip width apart, reach down, catch your big toes. And this is kind of like your setup position, right? This is a pattern that we carry through the whole practice. And then Dwe, exhale, you fold, and that's where the elbows bend. Now when the elbows bend, just make sure that you've got nice alignment with the upper body. So our cue when the arms are above the shoulders, which they are in this position, even though they're closer to the floor, right? Anatomically speaking, her arms are above her shoulders. So she doesn't want to internally rotate. She wants to externally rotate the arms like that by bringing the elbows slightly back. And you can see what that does to the shoulders. See when she's internally rotated, how the upper trapezius here get all kind of bunched up. So what we want to try to do is relax that and engage more around the lats and the side body here and the pecs. You can feel your chest starts to engage a little bit as the upper arms pull a bit towards the legs. Also, Jelena is getting into that action by pushing down through the backs of the fingers and pulling the toes forward, not up, right? Yeah. Did you see that little action there? So she's not pulling the toes away from the floor, she's pulling the toes forward away from the heels and then using the strength of the arms there to draw the chest closer to the legs. Good. And then we go Trini, inhale back into the start position.
And this is where you can clean the fluff off the mat. It's driving me crazy. Okay.
An extra movement. So that's where we indulge our preferences. And then from there, on the next inhale, so we have that exhale where nothing happens because there's no vinyasa count. Okay? And then inhale, hands come under, Padahusthasana. So again, we start with the setup position. When Jelena puts the hands under the feet, she's stepping the toes onto the palms. It doesn't have to be all the way up to the wrists, just onto the palms is fine. And then exhale, dwe, same thing with the arms. But now there's going to be less movement available with the shoulders because the hands are trapped, right? So Jelena is still going to engage through the lats here and through the chest by pulling the arms back a little bit, and that's going to release the upper trapezius. And then same work with the arms. She's pushing down through the backs of the hands and pulling the hands forward away from the heels. So she's not pulling up, because that's going to go straight into the upper trapezius as well. She's pulling the hands away from the heels, forward that way, and that's going to draw the elbows back and the chest closer to the legs. And then she's, staying nice and strong with the legs. If you're ready to deepen this pose without necessarily lifting through the sits bones, you're going to shift your weight forward. So that's going to deepen the stretch in the hamstrings. Good. And then after 5 breaths there, Trini, inhale, head up, exhale there. And then inhale, come back to Samastiti. And that's it. And you notice the way that Jelena lifted there? She held on to all that work through the legs and through the core lifting up. So she didn't revert to coming into an arched position, lifting out of the pose. Consistency.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Fairly simple, but there's still things to learn about it, right? There's still details.
Always. All right. If you liked it, so make sure subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.